Hello everybody and welcome back to another wonderful video episode of Let's Talk But No Politics OK presents This Week in History Review for the week of May 10th through the 16th. This is the first time you're watching this video. This is where I, Andrew Lenz, the host of Let's Talk But No Politics OK, go through my daily today, and it says history, but it's more pop culture history. What happening throughout the history of pop culture and everything else, from movies openings to birthdays to premieres to final episodes airing and all of that. So, like I said, I am a host of a podcast called Let's Talk But No Politics OK, which you can catch new episodes every Sunday on the PICBP Radio Network, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Audible, all those great podcasting sites, and also bonus episodes every Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern on the Helium Radio Network. Also, go check out my Facebook page, like I said, for great daily content there as well. So we are getting into this this week in pop culture history review, and like I said, it is for the week of May 10th through the 16th. So let's go see what happened in pop culture history for that week. So our first one is May 10th, 1996. Twister is released in theaters. I guess I kind of saw Twister in a theater. It was one of those weird things where a group of my friends, we were going to the movies. I can't even tell you what movie we were going to see. And we had time. We were younger, probably 13, 14 years old. And, you know, we got time. We don't have cars. This movie theater is pretty much, I wouldn't say in the middle of nowhere, but there wasn't much around other than a mall. But by the time you walk to the mall, you would have had to like walk back. That's how far the mall was. So he's sitting there, my one friend's sitting there, he's talking to this guy at the counter, and he just bought, what was it, Luigi's Mansion. And I think this was like Nintendo 64, Super Nintendo. And they're talking, and me and my other friend are like, oh, this is kind of boring. They're talking, we're waiting for this movie. And the guy behind the counter was like, hey, if you want to, Twister is about to start. Why don't you go check out that? So we went into Twister. We watched the opening scene. Spoiler, you know, where I'm guessing that's Helen Hunt's character, and the father gets whipped away by the tornado because they couldn't get to the storm cellar quick enough. And this was a pretty cool, like, kind of disaster movie. I wouldn't say it was totally awesome, but, you know, the cow flying, them trying to record data on tornadoes and everything else. And I guess this movie is a little bit closer to home to me now that I live in the great state of Texas. And so we get some tornado warnings. We've been getting some tornado warnings, tornado watches, something I'm not used of coming from New York. Sorry, tripping over my words. So I've actually I want to watch this movie again. I did recently watch it about a couple months ago when it was on Netflix, just to get back into it. Is it one of the greatest movies ever? No, but is it a fun movie to watch? Yes, it's a lot of fun. Philip Seymour Hoffman. I'm going to say Bill Paxton. I get, for some reason, I don't know if anybody else does, I get Bill Pullman and Bill Paxton mixed up. Helen Hunt at the height of the Helen Hunt popularity there as well. Just really great movie. You know, kind of one of those like ragtag bunch of cool guys, and then the sellout sponsorship thing within there too, which I found kind of weird but cool at the same time. So May 10th, 1996, Twister is released in theaters. So moving on to May 11th, 1981, Bob Marley passes away at the age of 36. I I wouldn't say I'm a fan of Bob Marley's movie, but music, but I wouldn't say that I'm against it. I just don't know it as well as other stuff. I know I Shot the Sheriff, One Love, iconic songs like that. So this was very sad. He died very young. I think it was. I was trying to figure out when I was doing this post because I know of Bob Marley just through pop culture. You know, Snoop Dogg got into the reggae thing for a while where he wanted to be called Snoop Lion and everything else. And he's part of musical history, pop culture history. So I just felt it was a great way to pay homage to the late great Bob Marley by making this post because I know there is a lot of Bob Marley fans out there. People that love Bob Marley, people that still love to Bob Marley to this day, probably even his son Ziggy. And I just wanted to, these are what I do with these graphics. Just try and pay honor and tribute, even if I'm not 100% familiar with it. I know it has pop culture significance, and being a fan of pop culture, you got to just put it up there. But well, you don't just have to, but it pays homage. So May 11th, 1981, Bob Marley passes away at the age of 36. So let's move on to May 12th, 1993. The final episode of The Wonder Years airs. I love The Wonder Years. Pretty much as a kid watched every single episode all the way to this final episode as well. Childhood crush Winnie Cooper. You know, heard the rumors about Marilyn Manson being Paul Pfeiffer from the Wonder Years. I don't know if anybody else remembers those rumors as well, but it was a great TV show. Talked about the mom for Wonder Years as on my TV Moms episode that was out on Mother's Day. It's just a great adventure of Kevin Arnold and his friends as they grow up in the 1960s. And it had some relatable things for me, but not so much as relatable as I say when my mom was probably watching it. You know, when we were watching it with her, because she could remember more of the historical events that were going on as well. At that time period, I didn't, but I could relate to it. This is also a series that I watched all the way through once again a couple years ago. Still stands up to today. Absolutely amazing. Very powerful final episode as well, where you learn and they give you closure, which I love closure when it comes to movies or anything else. It gives you know, they tell you everything that you need to know about what's going on with the family and everything else, because a lot of things change in the beginning. Kevin's dad worked for this big business, and then all of a sudden he moves on to, by the end, owning his own furniture company. He ends up buying it even though he has trouble, but it's a dream. Wayne finds his niche in this furniture company as well. Just a very great series. I think it could reach, even though, like I said, it's set in the 1960s, the way that it's set up, it can reach you either way. When I was a kid, I could relate more to Kevin Arnold. I was a younger brother. I had an older brother like Wayne who was just a you-know-what to me all the time, torturing me, not being very nice. And then as I got, because I thought the father was just mean growing up, but then as I got older, you learn that and me becoming a father, you learn more of why he did the things that he did and what happened. But May 12th, 1993, the final episode of The Wonder Years airs. So let's go on to May 13th, 1994. Johnny Carson makes a surprise cameo on The Late Show with David Letterman, and it would be his final television appearance. As a kid growing up in the 80s, I was born in the early 80s, so I kind of grew up in the 80s into the 90s. Johnny Carson, king of late night, probably it still is the king of late night, 100%. You could sit there and watch Johnny Carson. I remember Alf being the guest host of The Tonight Show. and that was something that was cool. We got to stay up, watch that. But Johnny Carson was always there. A very iconic pop culture duo in Johnny Carson, Ed McMahon, Doc on with the band, and everything else. So this is powerful, very powerful to see him do this surprise cameo with David Letterman. Even though David Letterman did not get the Tonight Show, I don't know exactly why. I didn't watch the movie or go into it too much, but I do like David Letterman. So in my teen years, it was more Letterman. Early years, it was more Johnny Carson if I got to stay up. But he's the king of late night. He is the standard for anybody that does a late night talk show, and he is the king forever. So May 13th, 1994, Johnny Carson makes a surprise cameo on The Late Show with David Letterman. It would be his final television appearance. So that's crazy. But here we go. May 14th, 1998, Celebrity Deathmatch on MTV premieres. So, Celebrity Deathmatch. This is something that was talked about. I know when I was in high school, every day, did you catch Celebrity Deathmatch? Did you watch it? You know, the Let's Get It On, everything. Just absolute craziness of what you wanted. Could it hold up to today? I don't think you could air this today, but or do something like this. Maybe late, but I don't think you could do it the way that they did it before. I don't think it would hold up as well if you're looking at the picture of Marilyn Manson versus Charles Manson. I think there might be a problem with that, but it was so cool to see all these different people like wrestle each other, because this is also at the height of the Attitude Era, Monday Night Wars, NWO, all that stuff. So wrestling was huge. People loved wrestling. Everybody loved wrestling. There wasn't too many people that you didn't see wearing NWO shirt, Austin 316 shirt, or anything like that. And Celebrity Deathmatch capitalized on it by seeing these dream fights. I'm pretty sure you might have some wacky friend or something, or maybe even it's you that's like, hey, who would win in a fight, Gandhi or Abraham Lincoln? Well, Celebrity Deathmatch would try and bring that to you. I remember the one with Puff Daddy. I forgot who he was going after, but he was doing it because of the sampling, the whole sampling problem going on at that point. And he starts throwing records at the guy and everything else. Celebrity Deathmatch is great. Holds a place, I think, still in many people's hearts that grew up with it. But I don't think it aged as well as a lot of us think it could. So, but May 14th, 1998, Celebrity Deathmatch premieres on MTV. So here's another one. This one might be a little bit odd to some people. I don't know how many people know it unless you're into wrestling as well. But it was a shocker at the response that I got. May 15th, 1957, Kevin Von Erich is born. He was a wrestler for World Class Championship Wrestling in the Dallas area territory. And he was a barefoot wrestler from the very famous Von Erich family of, Kevin, David, Kerry, Mike, Chris. That Lance thing was not blood related if you watch Dark Side of the Ring. But I wanted to do this because the Von Erichs is also it seems like, I don't want to say a curse family, but there was a lot of tragedy with this great family as well. David died very young. Some people say it was because of drugs, but the official diagnosis was from I think an infection in his intestines or something like that as well. So David died very young. He was the Yellow Rose of Texas. Once again, if you're looking at the graphic, you see Kevin holding up a yellow rose because this is from the David. I'm guessing this photo is from the David Von Erich memorial show that they did for him. And then you have Mike Von Erich, who took his own life. Chris Von Erich also took his own life. and Kerry Von Erich also took his own life. Uh, I've have a pretty interesting fascination with the Von Erichs. They're my favorite episode of The Dark Side of the Ring, and it's not because of what happened to them. It's more of the wrestling pedigree with it as well, and that each one was so different in their own way. And my first introduction to the Von Erichs was Kerry Von Erichs in the WWF as Texas Tornado. I thought the Texas Tornado was awesome. And then he beat Mr. Perfect, what made it even better because I hated Mr. Perfect. But Kevin Von Erich is the surviving member of the that nucleus of the Von Erich wrestling family. His sons wrestle. He has a niece that wrestles. Kerry's daughter wrestles. He lives, I guess, happily, if you watch Dark Side of the Ring, in Hawaii. And this is one of the people that later on in life I would love to meet and talk to, just because of the pedigree in there, the pedigree and the stories and everything else. As I get older, wrestling history becomes very fascinating to me. We need kayfabe back. That's my big thing, and it's Kevin Von Erich was born May 15th, 1957. So we are on our last one. May 16th, 1986, Top Gun is released in theaters. It's Top Gun, people. I am not a fan of Tom Cruise, but if you put on Top Gun, I'm watching Top Gun all day long. And it's because I was inverted. There you go. This is one of my aunt's favorite movies. So if we ever did go visit my aunt, I was definitely watching this. I enjoy Top Gun to this day. I enjoy Top Gun the video game. I actually own both of them for the NES, which some people would probably say I'm nuts, but I actually enjoyed playing these games. And my guy was Goose. I was a Goose. I was a Goose guy. I remember the G.I. Joe, where you could get your own action figure, build his own bio and everything else. And when we were filling them out, they said, "What do you want him to? What do you want your GI Joe name? Nickname?" And I said, "I want Goose. I want Goose." And it's very sad that Goose passed away. And later on in the years, I lived close to an Air Force base that had air shows, and I got to see exactly why Goose died by breaking his neck on the canopy of the cockpit there, and it's all because of the glass didn't break and congested in, and there's a special thing at the top of the seat where it breaks it. But Top Gun is absolutely amazing. Iceman, Maverick, Goose, you lost that love and feeling. How could you not love Top Gun? Absolutely amazing. I think I might have to go check it out. Just awesome movie. Tom Cruise, that freewheeling and dealing guy. Watching the planes go on and off the aircraft carrier as a kid, absolutely amazing. Top Gun all day, baby. So that concludes this Let's Talk But No Politics Okay this week in History Review for the week of May 10th through 16th. So remember, check out new episodes of Let's Talk But No Politics Okay every Sunday, BICBP Radio Network, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Podcast, Audible, Amazon Music, bonus episodes every Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern, Helium Radio Network. Check us out on YouTube. Give it a subscribe. Subscribe to this. Very good. Share it with some friends if you enjoy as well. And also the Facebook page, go check that out as well. And if you're at the BICBP Radio Network website, please go check that out as well. We have podcasts for everyone, and everything is nicely categorized to where they need to be, from pop culture to lifestyle, to bikes to trains to video games. I wouldn't say it's the biggest podcasting website there is, but we have it all, if you know what I mean. And with that being said, good morning, good afternoon, and good night.